It's a curious business, this thing we call my spiritual path. People come up and say, I'm really struggling with doubt, as if they've discovered some shameful private disease. And I look at them, and I look at myself, and I think, well, of course you are. It would be very strange if you weren't. Because doubt is what happens when the little separate self, the one who thinks it's steering the ship, bumps into a vastness it cannot possibly control. Doubt is like the ego's polite way of saying to the infinite, excuse me, but are you sure you know what you're doing? So you sit there, on your cushion or in your car or in bed at 3 a.m. with all these thoughts floating through. What if I'm wasting my life? What if there is no God? What if I'm just fooling myself with all this meditation? And if you look closely, tucked behind those thoughts is another whisper. What if I'm not the one who's driving this after all? And that whisper, that very quiet suspicion that you are not central management, is the beginning of a very beautiful, very disorienting love affair. For a long time, I thought the game was to conquer my doubts, to stamp out confusion like some cosmic exterminator. I read the books, I chanted the mantras, I tried to line everything up so neatly. First I will transcend the ego, then I will become a compassionate being, then I will help all sentient creatures, and somewhere before dinner I will realize God. The mind loves its schedules, but the universe kept not reading my memos. Instead of becoming steadily more enlightened, I would get caught in these absurd situations. I would fly somewhere to give a talk about inner peace, and the airline would lose my luggage, and I'd be at the counter insisting that I was a very important speaker who needed his very spiritual socks. Or I'd be sitting in meditation going for that quiet, empty state, and a mosquito would land on my arm, and suddenly the great timeless witness of consciousness would be swatting at a tiny insect with remarkable ferocity. And after enough of these episodes, I started to suspect that maybe the curriculum was not what I thought it was. Perhaps the point was not to get rid of my neurosis, but to become so tenderly familiar with it that it no longer ran the show. Perhaps the me that was embarrassed, angry, righteous, fearful, proud, spiritual, confused, all of that, was being slowly, gently, lovingly cooked down into something softer, something more transparent. You think you are the one doing the work, and all the while the work is doing you. There was a time I sat in a small room with a handful of seekers, and one of them said, I feel like I'm failing at this. I meditate and my mind goes everywhere. I try to be loving and I just get irritated. I doubt everything. And I could see in their eyes that familiar tightness, that ache of someone who believes they are supposed to be somewhere else, someone else further along better. And I remember laughing, not at them, but with them, because I recognized the whole drama. I said, you see, the one who thinks it is failing is precisely the one who can never succeed. That character, that self-image, is not the being that awakens. It's more like the chrysalis that has to crack open. So every time you believe that one, you suffer. And every time you step back and just notice it, there is the one who thinks it is failing. You are already resting in something bigger, something quieter. That's the real you. The room got very still. What changes is not that the doubt disappears. It's that you stop giving it your full ID card. Instead of I doubt, it becomes doubt is arising. Instead of I am confused, it becomes confusion is passing through. The whole relationship shifts from this is me to this is happening in me, or even this is happening in awareness. And that little shift is like moving from the cramped little apartment of personality into the spacious sky of presence. Awareness is like the sky. Thoughts, doubts, fears, they're just weather. Some days it's stormy, some days clear, but the sky doesn't argue with the clouds. It doesn't say, oh, not rain again. I thought I was a spiritual sky. I should only have sunsets. It just allows. And you in your deepest nature are much more sky than you are storm. Now the guru. People have all these fantasies about the guru. Shiny robes, glowing aura, impeccable wisdom, a one-stop shop for your existential problems. But the real function of a guru is much more embarrassing. The guru is the one who quietly refuses to cooperate with your story about who you are. They are like a mirror you can't smudge. You come to them with your doubts, your questions, your credentials, your spiritual resume. I've meditated this many hours, I've read those scriptures, I've gone to those retreats, and you're waiting for them to give you a gold star, and they just look at you with this expression that says, yes, yes, that's very sweet, dear, but who are you? And in that gaze, all your elasy, borate self-definitions start to fall apart. You might ask, response, why do people end up with gurus anyway? And the only honest answer is bad luck and good grace. Bad luck because the guru will cheerfully destroy your comforting illusions. Good grace because what remains when those illusions go is something astonishingly simple and free. Sometimes the guru teaches through warmth, through obvious love, sometimes through maddening silence, sometimes through total absurdity. You ask a deep question about the meaning of life and they ask if you've eaten. You want to talk about enlightenment and they tell you to sweep the floor. It's very inconvenient for the intellect. One day you realize that the guru is not merely a person out there. The guru is the function of truth itself in your life. It's the way circumstances conspire to put you face to face with your stuck places. It's the way your relationships, your work, your body, your failures, all of it, keep nudging you toward openness. The guru is the presence that keeps whispering again and again, let go. Let go. Let go. Think about your doubts. Aren't they also gurus of a sort? Every time doubt arises, is this path real? Am I making this up? You have an invitation. You can contract around that thought, build whole castles of argument and fear. Or you can turn toward the very discomfort of it and feel, here is the place where I don't trust life. Here is the tight fist in my heart. And in bringing awareness to that tight place, something softens. The doubt has done its job. It has brought you right to the place that needs love. We imagine awakening as some fireworks event, but often it's just these quiet, ordinary moments where you stop defending yourself against what is. I remember standing once in a crowd at a demonstration, people holding signs, chanting slogans, full of passion. There was a sense of us and them, the righteous and the blind, the awakened and the ignorant, and I could feel in my own chest this mixture of genuine care and something more sharp, more brittle, the part that wanted to win, to be on the right side of history, the spiritual ego wrapped in a banner. It's a very delicate thing, this question of action. On the one hand, how can a human heart not respond to suffering? When you see injustice, when you see harm, something in you wants to move, to help, to stand up. That impulse is beautiful. It's like compassion stretching its wings. On the other hand, when you move from that place without awareness, you easily create a new enemy. You dehumanize the other side. You turn your pain into a weapon. And then your activism, which could be an expression of love, becomes a theater for the same old separateness. So there I was in the crowd, chanting along, and suddenly I noticed, look at this. I'm building an identity here. I am the good one, the aware one, fighting the good fight against those terrible others. And just noticing that, letting the light of awareness shine on it, something softened. The chanting continued, the signs stayed up. But inside, the war quieted a bit. The people on the other side of the line were no longer monsters. They were human beings caught in their own causes and conditions, just as I was. You can act without creating an enemy when you remember that everyone you meet is another version of yourself, dreaming their particular dream. That doesn't mean you become passive. It doesn't mean you say, it's all God's play, let people suffer. It means you let yourself feel the pain of the world without tightening around it. You let your heart break open, not shut down. You offer your hands, your voice, your resources, but you hold the results more lightly. You do the best you can, and you don't make a new me out of it. Karma yoga is simply doing the next necessary thing as cleanly as you can without trying to claim ownership. You wash the dishes. You speak up against cruelty. You listen to a friend. You join a vigil. You care for a sick parent. You sit with your own grief. All of it can be part of the same offering when you remember that the doer is not really separate from the doing. The more you are resting as awareness, the more actions just flow through. They come out of silence and return to silence. And yes, you will still mess up. You will snap at someone in traffic and then watch your halo fall to the floor. You will have noble intentions and mixed motives. You will say something spiritual and immediately notice the little inner voice going, that was very wise. Good job. There's my ego again, polishing its badges. It's all right. You don't have to erase that part. You just have to see it, smile a little, and keep going. The thing about the spiritual path is that it is endlessly humbling. Just when you think you've really got it down, I am so present, so loving, so equanimous, life sends you that particular person who knows exactly which buttons to push. Maybe it's a family member, maybe it's a co-worker, maybe it's the guy talking loudly on his phone in the quiet carriage of a train. Whoever it is, they step right into your field, and suddenly you're a teenager again, full of indignation, impatience, judgment. And if you're honest, you see how thin your enlightenment is. This is not a failure. This is the play. We come into this life with these tendencies, these karmic grooves. We're drawn to situations that will rub against those grooves, not because we're masochists, but because the soul is very serious about its own freedom. It wants to burn off the old patterns, to grow, to become transparent. And how do patterns get burned? Through friction, through meeting what we resist. So the person who annoys you, the situation that scares you, the doubt that keeps returning, these are all part of your unique curriculum. They are the guru in disguise, walking in your shoes, speaking in your voice, living in your doubts. At a certain point, you stop asking, why is this happening to me? And turn toward the deeper question, how is this happening for my awakening? What is this particular arrangement of joy and suffering inviting me to see? You begin to notice that again and again, life brings you to the edge of your control. Illness arrives, plans fall apart, relationships and careers shift. Your cherished self-images crumble. You are forced to confront groundlessness. And each time there is an opportunity, will you cling tighter or will you let go into something larger? Surrender is not some dramatic gesture. Often it's just that small inner bow. All right, I don't understand this. I don't like this. And still, I'm willing to be here with it. I'm willing to feel this fully. In that willingness, grace can move. Sometimes grace looks like relief, like things turning out the way you had hoped. Sometimes grace looks like even deeper loss, but accompanied by a spaciousness you didn't know you had. The outer forms change, health, wealth, reputation, relationships, but the inner taste of presence becomes more and more familiar. You may begin to notice that who you are is not limited to the roles you play. There is the personality with its history and preferences and quirks. There is the soul with its longing for truth, its sense of purpose, its quiet knowing. And then there is this vast, clear awareness in which both personality and soul are appearing. When you sit still and turn attention back on itself, you can begin to sense that awareness. It is not dramatic. It does not shout. It simply is. It has been here during every experience you've ever had, unscathed, unchanged, like a silent witness. The more you rest in that witnessing, the less trapped you are by the content of your mind. Thoughts arise. I'm not good enough. Witness. I'm special. Witness. I'm lost. Witness. I'm found. Witness. The thoughts keep coming, like visitors at the door. Awareness is the house itself. It hears the knock. It sees the comings and goings, but it does not become each visitor. This is not an escape from life. It's a deeper intimacy with it. Because when you're not fully identified with your narrative, you can actually show up more presently. You can listen more deeply. You can feel pain without being drowned. You can experience joy without clinging. You can be with another person without constantly referencing how they make you look or what you're getting out of it. You see them as another expression of the same awareness. And then compassion becomes very natural. You don't have to manufacture it. When a child cries, you feel it in your own chest. When a stranger smiles, your face softens. When you hear of someone's loss, you know in your bones what that feels like because you've been broken too. The separation between your pain and my pain gets thinner. From this place, service is not a duty, but a joy. You help because it is your nature to help, the way the sun shines because it is its nature to shine. You don't need a story about being a good person. In fact, the more you keep checking, am I a good person yet, the more awkward it all becomes. Better to simply let love move through you in whatever form it wants. Words, silence, a meal, a protest, a prayer. Of course, the personality will keep trying to sneak back in and take the credit. You'll do something kind and then catch yourself thinking, well, that was pretty good of me. It's all right. Just notice it with humor. The ego is like a child who wants to be seen and appreciated. You can pat it on the head and say, thank you for your efforts, and then gently return your attention to the deeper place from which the action really arose. Slowly, slowly, your identity shifts from the doer to the being, from the one who is trying so hard to the one who simply is, from the narrative of my progress to the simple fact of presence right here, right now. And in that presence, even your doubts begin to feel different. They are no longer enemies. They are old companions knocking on the door now and then, reminding you of where you used to live. You can invite them in for tea. Come in, dear doubt. Sit down. Tell me your stories. And as you listen, really listen, without believing every word, you begin to hear the deeper fear underneath, the fear of disappearing, the fear of not being in control, the fear of being nothing. And suddenly you realize that being nothing in the ego's sense is the most peaceful thing you've ever tasted. Nothing to defend, nothing to prove, nothing missing. The guru who lives quietly in your doubts is simply waiting for you to stop fighting and start listening. When you finally pause long enough, you may sense a kind of silence behind the whole drama. Not the dead silence of boredom, but a living silence, warm and alive. It's as if the universe is holding its breath with you. In that silence, all your questions, all your wounds, all your longings are welcome. Nothing is excluded. You sit there, perhaps in a simple room, perhaps on a noisy bus, perhaps in a hospital waiting area, and you feel the rise and fall of your breath. In, out, in, out. You notice the weight of your body, the sounds around you, the flicker of light, and you realize that in this moment, just this, you are okay. Not okay as in everything is resolved, but okay as in you are held. The mind will try to complicate it. Yes, but what about tomorrow? What about my purpose? What about enlightenment? Let it speak. Thank it for its contributions. And gently, again and again, come back to this breath, this feeling, this mysterious aliveness. Just be here, now. In this simple willingness to be as you are, the whole journey is contained. The doubts, the seeking, the gurus, the teachings, the activism, the service, the failures, the breakthroughs, all of it has been circling around this ordinary miracle. To sit inside your own life without running away, to let the heart unclench, to let love be what it has always wanted to be, free. You may find over time that your story about yourself loosens. I am the one who was wounded, who was betrayed, who doubted, who sought, who practiced. Beautiful, true in its way. And yet, behind that, there is something more fluid, more nameless. You are like a wave realizing it has always been the ocean. The wave still rises and falls, of course. It still breaks upon the shore, but it knows itself as water. So you move through the world as a particular person, this name, this body, this history, while knowing yourself also as that which contains all names and bodies and histories. From that place, you can laugh at your own seriousness and still care deeply. You can show up fully for the human mess without being swallowed by it. You can hold another's trembling hand and know that both of you are expressions of the same light. And the guru? The guru is no longer just a figure in a story or a memory from a distant land. The guru is the way the light hits the face of the stranger sitting across from you. The guru is the ache in your chest when you hear news of suffering and your heart refuses to close. The guru is the still, small voice that says, "Tell the truth," when it would be easier to hide. The guru is the quiet presence that lives in your doubts, in your fears, in your deepest longing for home. You do not have to go anywhere to find it. You simply have to keep softening into what is already here. Breath by breath, moment by moment, you come to trust that you are being lived, that even your confusion is part of a larger intelligence, that the one who is seeking and the one who is found are not two, that the question and the answer arise from the same silence. And in that trust, life becomes less of a problem to be solved and more of a mystery to be lived. You still get out of bed in the morning. You still brush your teeth, pay your bills, answer your messages. You still feel lonely sometimes, joyful sometimes, tired sometimes. But underneath there is this subtle, steady hum of okayness, a sense that whatever comes, you are not alone in it. Because in the deepest truth, there is no you and it at all. There is only this living, breathing, ever-changing play of form and emptiness, of sound and silence, of doubt and faith, of separation and union. And you are that, not as a concept, not as a belief, but as the one who is quietly aware of it all. If you listen closely, you might even hear the universe chuckling. After all those years of striving, of trying to figure it out, of doubting and defending and declaring, you end up right where you started, here, just here. But now you see it. Now you feel the sacredness of this very moment, this very breath, this very ordinary, extraordinary life. And in that seeing, in that simple, tender awareness, something relaxes. You do not have to push away your doubts. You do not have to force your awakening. You do not have to become worthy of love. You are already woven out of it. So let the guru live quietly in your doubts. Let the questions keep opening you. Let the confusion soften your edges. Let the human mess of you be blessed by your own gentle attention. Let your heart again and again be broken open to the world. And then perhaps in some quiet hour, you will sit alone and feel that vast, loving presence which has always been with you. Not outside, not above, but right here at the center of your being. You will feel it breathing you. And you will know without needing to understand that you are home